You're listening to Puma Podcast.
I've been documenting the crime scenes, the funerals, the wakes. There's a lot of grief there. But when it is evolved to the aftermath, like after the funerals, after the wakes, the life that comes after grief, or the grief that comes after the threshold of like the normal waiting time for us Filipinos. Like I started
Mm.
seeing grief in a more normalized sense that how do you visualize grief that the person you're photographing is saying na napapanaginipan lang nila.
Two Filipinas were among the 24 regional winners of the prestigious World Press Photo Contest this year. The contest jury praised one Filipina in particular for her work covering the drug war from a quote, slow, subtle, underreported perspective. The jurors went on to say that she, quote, successfully highlights the consequences of the country's last regime and demonstrates how the social fabric of the Philippines is forever altered, unquote.
My name is Kimberly Dela Cruz. I'm 32 years old. I'm a freelance photographer and journalist based in the Philippines.
I'm Bella Perez Rubio, Puma Podcast. In this episode, I pass the mic to award-winning photojournalist Kimberly Dela Cruz.
I've been working as a photographer since 2013, 10 years.
Was that right out of college?
Sort of like I had a year that I was working another job to save up for a camera. And then when I did save up for a camera, I joined the Inquirer as a correspondent. Yeah.
Could you talk to us a bit about how the field of photography became attractive to you in the first place and why you decided to pursue it?
Photography to me is very vibrant in the sense na you could see the world differently with your eyes. Parang everyone has different perspective. Everything has a different angle to it.
The most recent award you've won that I saw was the World Press Photo. Can you talk about the work that won that award?
So, my work that was recognized by the World Press Photo Awards regional division is my work on the war on drugs. My work spanned 6 years documenting the war on drugs, its killings, and the victims' families. It started for me by just being curious and nakisabay lang ako sa mga tao nagko-cover ng night shift because I was curious and I got a research gig during that time. This is around July 2016. Tuwing may free time ako, pumupunta ako sa night shift.
There's a corpse in every other photo of Kimberly's Death of a Nation collection. The rest capture the people the drug war victims left behind, bent over caskets and crying, or held back by the police as they try to reach their loved ones who lie cold on pavement. The photos are mostly dark, taken under the cover of night or at dawn. They're also painfully intimate, taken just a few feet away from violence and grief. Do you feel that it takes a toll on you or that it takes a lot out of you to cover the drug war for 6 years?
Of course, it's a hard topic to cover. It's a excruciating topic to cover. It's emotionally heavy. Coming after documenting families of the war on drugs repeatedly, parang ibang focus yung kailangan nun eh, ibang attention, ibang sensibility siya. I guess by the end of it, I'm so relieved na patapos na siya or tapos na siya.
How do you think you were able to do it for 6 years?
To be honest, I don't understand how I was able to do it for 6 years. Maybe I did it on and off kasi. So parang hindi naman siya diretsong 6 years. I took my breaks then. Pero within 6 years, I think it's mostly because I felt that there's something missing with the coverage that I'm seeing, and that I could do something and that I could contribute.
More on the drug war and the rest of Kimberly's work after a quick break. What I found to be the most striking photo in Death of a Nation is one with two children in the foreground. They're playing with a gun, smiles on their faces as one points the weapon at the other. In the background, two caskets. Inside them lie the bodies of Richard Reyes and Liwayway Yabut. They both surrendered to Oplan Tokhang, but were killed by unknown gunmen in December 2016.
Another thing I've noticed in your work is there seems to be a lot of children involved, from the drug war to the border separation to even your story on reproductive rights. Is that an intentional choice on your part, covering stories that are at least tangentially related to children or affect young children, or is it just something that happened coincidentally?
No, actually, I typically avoid photographing children. Nagkakataon lang siya.
Yeah, and that's so striking that there are only children in the photo when it can't be avoided, and so many of the stories do have children in the photo. So there are so many stories na children are so affected you can't really even get a frame without them there.
The faces of children figure across Kimberly's work. Young refugees separated from their parents at the Texas border, and kids at a pride march in El Salvador. And in Manila, little infants and their mothers cramped in a Fabelia hospital ward.
Can you talk a bit about the time you spent in El Salvador?
I was just there for a fellowship. It was sponsored by the IWMF, the International Women's Media Foundation. So as part of the fellowship, we covered the zero tolerance policy of Trump during that time, and then covered LGBTQ issues. It's very much different covering outside your home country. And it's very interesting as well kasi with the language barrier, of course. There's different ways to communicate outside the language.
Is there anything you're working on now that is taking up most of your time, or is there anything that you're hoping to photograph and cover?
I want to work more on climate change stories.
What are you hoping your next 10 years are gonna be like?
More gigs sana. I want to work more. I want more racket.
You're an award-winning photographer. Is it still a bit hard to get gigs? And
Yeah, it's a very competitive market. There's so many talented photographers in Manila.
if you were to share what the experience has been like to our listeners, how would you communicate what it's been like to be a Filipino photojournalist for 10 years?
It's been excruciating. It's been painful. It's been rewarding so far.
That was Kimberly Dela Cruz, and I'm Bella Perez Rubio. This episode was edited by Pidoy Blanco. If you haven't already, listen to episode 1 of our Pass the Mic series. 2 Russians in the Philippines talk about what it's like to watch their country invade Ukraine. Follow Teka Teka News on your favorite podcast app or listen on YouTube. Just search Puma Podcast. If you want to learn more about the drug war, check out Season 2 of our award-winning series, Tokhang sa Tokhang. Thanks for listening.